Presently, I'm in a lot across the street from the Walton Textile Mill. The reason, apart from getting pricked to death by branches, is because of this set of railroad rail here. This is, I think, what was left of the railroad crossing for the main road here, leading where the railroad spur for this mill once came in. Now, they tore all this in the spur on the mill property out, I think back in 2008 or whenever they stopped having rail service. However, the rest of the spur is still here, and I've wanted to come back here and document it. As you can see, this is it right here, and it literally dead ends right here at the road. But this is the first time I've actually been able to really look at this. It goes back to where the Great Walton's main line is. And it goes from there all the way to Social Circle. Oh hey, there goes a truck from my employer. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know what was in this lot here. Probably a house, I don't know. But I don't know when this spur was last used, but judging by the size of the trees, I'd say it hasn't been used in 15 or 20 years. It couldn't have been, I don't know if they were still using it in 2008, but it's starting to look like that may not have been the case in terms of when it was last used. I think it was abandoned much earlier. There's more there. Now, I don't know if anybody's documented this before me. They might have, but I don't know. All I know is at the moment, the fact this land has been cleared has given me a good advantage in terms of documenting this. So it was an old incline spur. It went down from the, it actually went lower than the normal rail grade and went downwards towards the mill. And now they've completely cut this back. Yeah. And for good reason. Briars. A lot of briars. Okay, let's get off the roadbed now. Continue walking. So, yeah, they logged all this out. Oh, yeah, but here's a better view. So, oh, well, now that's interesting. Okay, so it looks like maybe this spur was closed before the mill closed in 2008. So maybe they were getting stuff in and out by truck, I guess. Because this rail here is severed. Yeah, that rail. Oh no, it's not severed. It's literally broken. The tree actually broke the rail. That's neat. I've actually never seen that before. I've seen the Bishop to Madison where the trees have actually lifted the rail up, but never where it's broken. Huh. I wonder if the railroad ever knew that. Yeah, so the rail fractured, and then as the tree grew, it forced it up. It's now higher than the where the rail is still sitting. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Now let's see, is there any dates? Is there any dates? No dates. Oh well. Anyway, I'm going to walk alongside the roadbed towards the tracks because I did want to get pictures around there anyway. Because I wanted to see where this came back in. I mean, I know the switch has already probably been long since removed, but it gives me an idea. Yeah, here we go. And this has all been cleared recently, so that makes this easier now. Yeah. So here's the rest of the spur right here. Right where I'm standing. And for all I know, I very well might be the first person to document this. For now, anyway. There's another mill across the road there. Could have been a competitor of the Walton mill. But I don't know where its rail spur came in. It might have branched off from here. Yeah, but as you can see, the track is still in place. So they literally just cut it at the mill, and that was that. I don't know again if that was before or after rail service ended, but it was probably between there. But this is interesting. It gives me an idea of what the Bishop to Madison branch looked like just about the time it started really getting overgrown and abandoned. So that's interesting. I swear it feels like there was more than one switch here, but I don't know. So I see people have come back here and dumped stuff. Hope that I'm not stepping in poison ivy. That ain't gonna be fun. More of the spur here. Okay, so I think I found where it would have branched back in, right over here. Got an old culvert pipe, the main line, some old warehouses. So yeah, they cut the switch. Makes sense if they're not using it. Yeah, so right here is where they literally cut it, so it's severed at both ends. Interesting. So, this track here is now isolated completely because they've completely cut the switch. Because I think where these ties are is where it once came in. And up there in those trees is where this set of track is no longer active. Dead ends right in the middle of town. And then here's the main line as far as the active track will go, and then here's this spur, which probably ran to the other mill. And there would have been maybe a third track that served this warehouse here. But my ultimate goal is to try and get pictures of all this. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to cut the recording, and I will see you in a minute or two. So right here is where the spur switch used to branch off. Got a bit more rail here, so that was probably pulled from the switch. And then you've got the switch for this siding up here, which we're going to next. And the camera will be horizontal again. Since this is technically near the end of active track, I don't think they have any of their trains coming this far except for maybe car storage. And even then the speed would be very slow. Plus I want to check this switch and make sure it's locked. I'd imagine it would be, but it doesn't hurt to check. Yeah, it's locked. I can see a lock on it, so that's good. And of course, with all the older switches on the Athens lines railroads, it's a Bethlehem steel switch. $30. Interesting. Yeah, Bethlehem, what's the date? 1945, into World War II. Interesting. Very interesting. I can tell the lock is rusted shut. Yeah, but I like to get shots of the railroad tracks at the switch for any of the sidings because it looks nice. It's very, very picturesque if you know how to do it just right. Now, just beyond that curve there is the area where most of the people who photograph this railroad track go to. I wanted to photograph stuff that they haven't. I've done that, at least in this section. So I'm going to turn the camera off, walk down to the next crossing, see if I can find remains of the spur going to the other mill, and if I don't, well, you'll see more pictures than video then, now wouldn't you? So, till then, RP2K signing out. Okay, so I'm now in front of the other cotton mill. You can see the stack peeking up out of the bushes there. And here's the other end of this siding. Now, I don't know if this was a depot siding or not, but I think it was either a passing siding for all the switch work that would have been needing to be done, or there was a small depot here, at least a freight one. And it makes sense if it was a freight depot because you got that textile mill as well as all the warehouses there. So this would be a perfect passing siding to do that work. Plus, I think there was a third track right in here where all this debris is to serve those warehouses, and it probably had a branching spur that went off from it over to this mill so they could do switching to get raw materials in and finished product out. Just like with the other mill across the road, the Walton mill. I can tell just by looking at this siding that it's not been used. Ties are in really bad shape, though I'm sure they replace them as needed in case they ever need it. Well, I say that, and here's the switch. Weird. More discarded rail in the drainage ditch there, off to the side here. There's the switch stand, completely obscured in kudzu, I might add. What's the date on this sucker? Bethlehem steel, new central adjustable. Date's obscured, so I don't know what it looks like, but it's got a good lock on it, which means that ain't gonna be tampered with. Knock on wood. Now, I think there was more than one track in here. I can tell by looking. Because you got all this wide space here. So there was probably 2 or more sets of tracks. One for the warehouse down there, and one that would branch off probably from the third siding to the mill somewhere. The question is where was that spur at, or where did it start? I know I'm seeing a lot of discarded rail off to the side, so it very well could have be that all this discarded rail is from either the third siding or the spur, or both. Yeah, it's probably from the spur because there's tons of rail piled up here. But still, the railroad does look pretty with all these houses next door. Old telegraph pole, I think. Yeah, that's exactly what this was. There was a third track right here because they've got an earth mound in front of it. Or in front of where it used to be. Yeah, but this here's the first time I've actually documented all this. I like how it looks too. I like how it's got a really nice picturesque view. Now there is that building there, and I've always wondered if that was a depot. It looks like it, but it could have also just been built like one too. Anyway, this is where I'm going to call this recording, so I will see you all later. Preserver 2000 signing out. Scratch that on pausing the recording. I just zoomed in on the camera and there's a siding down here that I want to look at and photograph before heading back. It's way down here, but I'm curious if it's going to this building next door. Because if it is, that would make it either a depot or that could be where the mill spur used to come in. One of the two, at least. It'd be nice to come out here in the middle of summer when all these trees have bloomed, because this would look real pretty with the difference in lighting. Very picturesque, especially with the old mill village next door. Yeah? Oh shoot! I'll be. There's a piece of maintenance equipment that was left here. So this must have been a spur to the mill, as well as to this building that looks similar to a depot. So that might have been one of the Great Walton's yard offices here. It makes sense. But that sucker's been there a while, seeing as it's so grown in. I mean, look at that. You wouldn't even know it's there. I wonder if Zhenya and them know about this thing. They probably do, but if I were them, I'd try to haul this back to wherever their shop is, so that way it's not getting vandalized. Another switch. I gotta check this one just like the rest of them. Make sure it's not been tampered with. Because if somebody were to mess with this, it would cause all sorts of trouble. I know one thing, they need new ballast because this here is washing out a bit. Okay, here's the switch stand, and I can tell you by how flat the ground is, there was probably more than one track at one time, but nowhere near as many now. Another Bethlehem steel switch from 1951, and I'm gonna put that back on to protect the internals to make sure it still works. Looks like somebody cut off the flagpole. These would have flags at the top to indicate what position the switch was in. Of course, it's in the closed position, meaning trains can go right past this branch off point here. So I'm thinking this may have been the spur to this other mill on this side of the road. It would make the most sense. But that's a guess. Anyways, I'm going to check this maintenance away equipment and see if it could be salvaged. It might be able to be salvaged by the railroad if it hasn't been tampered with too badly. Of course, if it's too grown in, I'm not going to get any closer to it. Yeah, and I'm looking at this and it's already grown into where there is tons of briars and I ain't getting into that. Not to mention there might be a few snakes in there. Ooh. Yeah, nope, that is a straight up no-go. But I don't know why they parked that there. It looks like that would be one of the old track spreader machines or whatever they would use to rip ties out, old ties, and replace them with new ones. But that's just a guess. Let me see, I might be able to get a better view of it from down here in the gully, but I'm only guessing. Yeah, that's what that looks like. It's one of those old track machines that would take out the old ties, put new ones in, get new ballast, crush new ballast in to give the track stability. But that's just a guess. Anyways, I'm going to photograph it for Virginia so that he and the other railroad company will know that this is here, because I don't know if they remember this is here or not. But then again, they might. Anyways, see you later. So here's that equipment I was talking about. It's, yeah, it's just derelict. I don't even know if it could even be rebuilt back to operational conditions. But if they wanted to haul it out and get it, it wouldn't be too difficult to move, I don't think. But that's a guess on my part. But I think this was the mill spur because it curves off and heads to the mill. But anyway, here's the machinery. It's interesting, it has like a home-built like plow, even though we hardly ever get snow around here. Still makes for some nice pictures. But I just wanted to show this, and yeah, I'll be calling it here, so I will see y'all later. RM129 or something. Weird. Well, as the sign says, welcome to Bogart. This is a town my mother and her mother stayed in for a few years. I would often come up here and spend the night with her mother when I was really little, and that's who I'm with today. If you guys saw my video I filmed here recently of the CSX auto train that came through, I was across the street there where the row of houses are. But yeah, I stayed up here briefly, I think in either 2010 2003. It was just before my mother moved to where we used to live in now. But anyway, I would always come up here and watch the trains. That used to be one of Power Brick's locations, and that used to be one of Blazer's, where you'd go and get chicken wings. And then here's the old Main Street. Still looks the same as it did when I was little. Of course, the only real thing that's changed down at the very end there is the post office. That's now a church, if you can believe it. But yeah, this is Bogart. I'm up here waiting to see if a train will come through or not, but yeah. Really, the only things that have changed is Blazer's is closed. That was torn down because Power Brick wasn't using it anymore. This fence was built, and these lights and this little memorial were added. I don't know if any trains are coming through or not. I doubt it, but that's one reason I'm up here. I'm not in too big of a hurry, and I don't mind waiting. I'll say this, if they did want to make a little rail fan park, this little foundation would be perfect for it. All they'd have to do is put a fence up, maybe about this height here where my hand is. That way you could put a camera over, have it wrap around here, maybe have a little pavilion, a few benches and a fan, and some lights. Give people a place to train watch along the Abbeville sub. Wouldn't even really need to build a new foundation. You got one right here already set. Yeah, if they were going to build a train platform here, all they'd need to do is maybe pour some new concrete along the edge here for a little fence. Tear down that bit of wall there. Maybe level that part of the foundation up with this one. Could build a pavilion in the middle. Just a simple kind of garden style pavilion or gazebo with some benches, maybe a fan and some lights. And again, a fence that's about maybe to here in terms of height. That way nothing would be obscuring anybody's cameras. And yeah, that'd really be it. It would probably be cheaper. It wouldn't really cost a lot. Well, what I mean by it not costing a lot, it wouldn't cost like $1 million, of course, but still, something's better than nothing, and it's just an idea. It'd be nice to see something done with it. Yeah, but here's where Power Brick once had their building. In fact, right here is where their old siding was. They used to load brick in their gondola cars right here, and then CSX would come in, pick them up, and ship them out. But then you got the main line there, which is the higher track, passing siding, which is here, and then this siding, which was also for this industry, as well as I think the depot that was once here in town. If I had to guess, the depot is probably where the grassy field is, between the buildings and whatnot. If you were to look back on my channel, I got photos of some old maintenance of way gondolas parked here with grass growing out of one of them. And I know a more recent video I caught another maintenance train here with an old Seaboard Coastline boxcar still in use. It's actually two or three maintenance of way trains I photographed or filmed that had old boxcars from long dead railroads. One of them still had a boxcar from the Georgia Railroad in maintenance of way service, though I don't know what they would do with it now. It's probably been scrapped since I filmed it, but who knows. So yeah, let the waiting game begin.